Hello friends, today before you starting this class or lecturer, I want to tell you my self-introduction. My name is Monica Kouru, BCOM Computers final year from Telangana Tribal Welfare Women's Aswabad. Today my subject is Business Organization and Management. In this subject, I want to tell the types of companies or kinds of companies. Today we are entering into the topic types of companies. What is mean by company? What is the exactly meaning of company? Here we learn about the what is the meaning and what are the types in this lecturer class. Yes, the meaning of company. A company is a naturally legally entity formed by a group of individuals and formed together achieving a common objectives like improving a profits, technologies, gain a more profits and improve their industries. The companies had been, according to the Companies Act 2013, a company is incorporated under their act or any previous company's law. It had been registered in that it contains the company. First of all, the company had been derived from the Latin word. Yes, it was derived from the Latin word companies. Here the companies had been divided into two parts, com plus pains. Com means together, pain means breed. It is nothing but working together is known as a companies. Yes, now we are entering into the types of companies. Here there are types of companies. Here we are discussing here. First of all, the companies had been divided 5. Just I would like to explain one by one. First one, on the basis of incorporation. Second one, on the basis of place of registrations. And third one, on the place of liability of members. Fourth one, membership of pattern. And the last one is authority. Yes, here we have completed headlines of the companies. Now in the headlines of company, they had divided in the subcategories. Every headline of the companies, on the basis of companies, it had been divided in their subcategories. First one, on the basis of incorporation. Yes, we discussing first one on the basis of incorporation. What is mean by actually the meaning of incorporation? Yes, we have learned types of companies. In that company we have incorporation. Actually the meaning of what is mean by incorporation. Incorporation is nothing but a formation of a new corporation, a startupping a new business like a non-profit organization or business, government schools, cities, towns. There are the incorporation. It's nothing but a startupping. Here we know the meaning of incorporation. Yes, now we learn about the types and subcategories of incorporation. First type or category of the incorporation is statutory companies, and second one chartered companies, and third one registered companies. First we have discussing the statutory companies. Yes, first one was statutory companies. What is the meaning of statutory companies? A companies had been set up by the special act of parliament or state legislatures is known as the statutory companies. The objectives, powers, rules, regulations, everything had been defined under this act. It had been controlled by the parliament. For example, we take the examples of Reserve Bank of India, Life Insurance Company, Finance Corporation of Bank, Industrial Development of India. These are the examples of stationary companies. The finance had been paid by the government in the statutory companies. Yes, the second one was chartered companies. Here, what is the meaning of chartered companies? Chartered company is nothing but it had been established before the independence at the past in the 19th century is known as the chartered companies. Here we briefly explain these chartered companies. These companies are set up by the or run by the royal charters. A royal charters means kings, queens or head of the state. They will business and they will increases and they will capital invest in that companies. They only run and they only make their rules, regulations followed by their companies. This company had been popular in England in the 19th century. Yes, this company was not popular in now. It was popular in the 19th century in England. The best example of the chartered company is East India Company or Chartered Bank of India or Australia is known as the chartered companies. If it company violates any rules or any regulation, immediately at the time, at the spot, the head of the state can be closed their companies and it was removed in that state or any places. Yes, we have understood what is chartered. The third one was registered companies. Everyone knows what is the meaning of registers. Register means it had been proved. It is also called a document. If the higher authorities had been consulted and proved that it was a register. The registered companies means according to the Indian Companies Act 2013, the company which had been registered is known as the registered companies. In previous or past, previous company was 1956, but it replacement or it had enhanced in new present Companies Act 2013 under the section Companies Act say 2 under the 20. Yes, the every Indian company, foreign company, private, public, any company can be registered in this Registered Company Act. Then only it can be considered or called as the registered company. For example of the registered companies, Reliance Company, Wipro Company or Nokia, Airtel, any companies which had been registered or been involved in the Companies Act is known as a Registered Companies Act. First, Reliance Company. Reliance Company had been registered in the previous law. Previous law means in the past 1956, but now it also considered as the present act also, because at the starting I have mentioned that if Companies Act can be involved or considered previous or previous companies law or present company, it can be considered as the Registered Companies Act 2013 also. Same like that Wipro company also, it had been passed at registered only in 1956, but it can be called or considered as the Presented Companies Act only. The Reliance Company owner was Dhirubhai Ambani and Wipro Company owner was 𝗂𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧. They are the owners. Before starting their companies, they are registered their companies and they started. Because of that, they are involved in the registered company. If they if they are not taken the registers, their companies, it does not included in the Indian Company Act. Yes. Now we entering into the second base on the basis of place of registrations. Yes, what is the meaning of place of registration? What is the meaning of place of registration? Here, place of registration means the country that the entity of incorporation or registered in that is known as place of registrations. Yes, which had been registered or incorporation in that place is known as the registration of place or place of registrations. Here, the place of registration had been divided into two types. First one, Indian companies, second one, foreign companies. What is mean by Indian company? Indian company means it is formed and registered under the Companies Act 2013 is known as the Indian Companies Act. But if it also registered under the 1956 also, it can consider as the Indian Companies Act. For example, ABC Limited Company had been registered in India and the branches had been started in foreign companies, but it can also consider in Indian Company Act because it had been registered in the Indian Companies Act only. Because of that, it can consider the Indian Companies Act. The foreign if the foreign country had been started, the activities can be doing there, but it can be contains the Indian Companies Act only. The Indian Companies Act can give the land for foreign business activities also. Yeah. Now second one, foreign companies. Foreign companies. Foreign means outside the India. Before that we discussed the Indian companies, but now we discussing the foreign companies. Indian companies means inside the India, foreign countries means outside the India. Now we are discussing the foreign countries. Foreign countries are incorporated in outside India. Yes, like America, Australia, like this. Any other countries is known contains or states is called the foreign companies. If foreign company also can register their Foreign Companies Act, then only they consider as the Registered Companies Act. Yes, same example I will give for foreign countries. Same, ABCD company limited started or established incorporated in, but the branches agencies had been run in India, it may consider also foreign companies because the rules regulation had been framed by their foreign companies. Because of that they consider the foreign companies. In same India, like foreign also give the place to start or incorporated in the land of India. For example of the foreign companies, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, China Mobiles, Apple. They are the foreign countries, but now we are using India also because the exports imports had been done between both those or both countries. Yes, but we have registered in the Foreign Countries Act only, they consider foreign. If we register Indian companies only, they register as a Indian company. That time only they will be followed by their rules and regulations. Okay, now we are entering into the third basis. Yes, third basis. What is the third base of company? The third base of company is liability member. Yes, liability member. We know the definition of incorporation, place of registration, and what is mean by liability. Liability is nothing but a something or person or company owns sum of money. Yes, a certain of money owns by company or persons. It may transfer their economic benefits like money is known as liability. Yes, here the liability had been classified into three types. Yes, first one, companies limited by shares, company limited by guarantee, and the last one was unlimited companies. Here first one, companies limited by shares, second one, companies limited by guarantee, and the last one, unlimited companies. Here we explaining the companies limited by shares. First one, what is mean by companies limited by shares? First of all, we entering into this topic, actually the meaning of shares. What is the meaning of shares? Shares means dividing the capital. Yes, what is the meaning of shares? Shares means dividing the capital is known as shares. Sometimes shareholders of some companies may not pay the shares one a go. They doesn't pay their shares at one time. They will pay installments. As they wish, they pay one time, but they have one another chance, installment. Yes, the liability of each shareholders limited up to their face value share. Yes, up to this value shares held by shares is known as a companies limited by shares. Okay, these companies limited by shares, the shareholder does not payable more than their limited liability. They can pay their equally. Yes, for example, A company had been paid 1 lakh for ABC company at the starting. Now at the winding up, the company had their liability returned to same equally shares 1 lakh. They doesn't increase, decrease. They will give equally 1 lakh is known as limited by share. And second one, company is limited by guarantee. Yeah, company limited by guarantee. In some companies, the memorandum of association mention amounts of money that some member guarantee to pay. The fixed guaranteed person had to pay a certain amount at the time of winding up a company is known as a limited by guarantee. What is the meaning of winding up? Winding up is nothing but the closing the company. Yes, winding up is nothing but the closing the company. At the time of closing the company, they had to pay a fixed certain of money is known as they are given a guarantee for paying a certain amount is known as a limited by guarantee. It cannot compel pay any more money. They are not ready to pay or compel to creditors more than liability what they have fixed value. Okay. Now it had been promote a art and culture. They are formed very rarely. Okay. Next, third one. Here third one, unlimited companies. What is mean by unlimited companies? Here only we know the answer. Unlimited means no limits. There is no limits on their liabilities. The unlimited companies just like a partnership or sole trader concerns companies. Okay, just like a partnership, not a partnership, is just like a partnership or sole trader. It is mean the limited, there is a no limited liabilities without registration. The limiting liability is known as unlimited companies. There is a no limiting. One sometimes the shareholders has to pay keep a personal assets on their liabilities because there is a no unlimited liability. Sometimes some money keeps some limit, there are no. That time they keeps their personal assets and to improve their company or increase or gain the profit. Their liabilities will extend to the company's entire debit. Okay. Yes. Now fourth one. What is the fourth one on the basis of? Yes, the company divided fourth one on the basis of membership pattern. Yeah, membership pattern. Membership means members, peoples. Okay. Here, membership pattern had been divided by two types. First one, private companies. Second one, public companies. What is the difference between private and company? Let me explain. Here, private company. Private company are those whose articles of association restrict the free transferable of shares. This private company, according to the Companies Act, Section 2 under Section 68, it has been involved. The private companies are those articles restrict. Their restrictions had been mentioned here. There is no free transferable of shares, debentures for another. Exactly the meaning of private companies. The private companies means the company make between the family affairs like relations, friends, their board of directors or their relations or anyone, only relations, only involved their families is they will start is known as private company. They are not involving the another person, they are not involving the third person is known as private companies. Now we know the private companies and how many members involved in the private company? Here private company involve just minimum 2 and maximum 200. Yes, just involving minimum 2 members only, maximum 200. They have limited maximum just 200. After at least 200 they can consider. Over before, sorry, if they increase more, they are not considered as the private company. They are not involved in their companies. Private company prohibits and does not accept the invitations from the persons other than the relations, friends or board of directors. they only accept their invitation. They doesn't accept the other person, like third person. Yes. And in the private companies, there are only 2 board of directors. Yes, only 2 board of directors. There are a limit on remuneration. Yes, they have limits on the restrictions prohibits in the private companies, because they just involve their relations only. These members include present and former employees who also hold shares. The person who are involved in the private companies, they only hold their shares. They are not involving a third person. Because of that, they hold their shares. Okay. Second, public companies. Public company means public companies has section, according to Companies Act section 2 and under section 1 Indians Company Act. The public company is not like a private company. In public company, they are minimum 7, maximum unlimited. Anyone can be include the public company and they started their business. There are only 3 board of directors. Yes, only 3 board of directors, and there are no restrictions for transferable shares, debentures. They can transfer freely their shares. Okay, and the next one, fifth one, on the basis of authority. What is the meaning of authority? We explained the incorporation, liability. Now we explain the authority. Authority means a special permission from the higher officer to done or to do the work in the organization is known as the authority. Authority had been divided into 3 categories. First one, holding companies, subsidiary companies, and third one, government companies. Here, first one, holding companies. What is the meaning of holding companies? Holding is nothing but holding in our hands. The meaning of holding is it was directly or indirectly holding the another companies. The all vote writers, board of directors of the another company had been undercovered by the one company. For example, XY was one company, ZY was another company. Here XY was holding the Z and Y company. Is known as the company which had been holding is known as the holding companies. The off of the vote writer, their shares, everything had been undercovered by the holding companies. It's called X and Y company. Next one, subsidiary companies. Subsidiary company means the company which had been controlled by the another company. Like XY company had been controlled ZY company is known as subsidiary companies. The everything had been undercovered the holding company. Yes, XY company is known as subsidiary companies. The everything had undercovered by the holding. What their rules, what their regulation had been followed in the subsidiary companies. And the third one, government companies. Everyone knows government. Government means central, state government. Yes, here the government is what companies had been set up by the central government, state government or legislatures. Yes, the rules, regulation, powers had been undercovered by the government companies. Here, if the private or public company started any business, it had been 50% shares can be given. Yes, friends, today we are examples of the first of all example of companies were HP, Bharat Petrol. These are the examples. Okay, friends, today we are completed over the kinds of companies. Yes, we explained what is a company and what are the types. Now, I think you are understood what are the different types of companies, and not only these types, we have different investment companies, small companies, 1% companies, so many companies we have. I think you learn more and more companies. Okay, thank you everyone, and a special thank you for Telangana government of giving this wonderful opportunity. And once again, thank you.